According to Zillow, the number of owner-occupied single-family homes. You may want to write this down. The number of owner-occupied single-family homes fell by 680,000 between 2005 and 2016, while the number of rental properties surged by 6.2 million. Folks, there just ain't enough new housing that's being built to make up for the shortfall. It is Econ 101. You've got 6.2 million new rental places and only 680,000 deficit in new homes. I mean, this is an amazing number. Should be music to your ears, Mr. Steve Aledort, because there's going to be a whole lot of millennial buyers getting out of their rental properties and their apartments and so forth and wanting to buy a house.
As long as they can find a property. And going back to Econ 101, as I was listening to you driving in the car at the top of the hour, is you had mentioned that Jim had a concern about there potentially being a real estate bubble based on certain factors. The bottom line is that we have seen across the United States a significant decrease in the number of homes that are being listed. Supply.
Exactly.
And with the fact that there now is more demand, income is going up. I'm seeing with a lot of my clients, them making more money, getting better jobs. But if they go out and they're looking to find a home, and the amount of homes that they have to look at are limited, and there are a number of buyers out there, more so than the homes that are listed, that's when you find a property, you make an offer, you find out there's 3 or 4 other offers, and the next thing you know, the person that gets the house is paying $20,000 above the list price. So is there going to be a real estate bubble? There could, but I think as long as we're in this phase where demand is significantly outweighing supply based on a number of factors, one that you just mentioned right now, I don't think that we're going to see a decrease. And then going back to the flippers you were talking about, smart for them if they can find a property and doll it all up, because with limited supply, now you have people going out looking for homes. They go to 4 or 5 properties. They see the one that is completely upgraded, completely done,
you bet,
turnkey ready to walk in, and they're going to pay more money for it.
They're happy to. I'm like that. See, Jeannie, on the other hand, fashions herself as and she's good, as a designer. And I'd like to change this and do that. I'm smart enough now to know not to argue with her. However, every time we've done that, it's cost me through the nose. Because when you're doing a property for yourself, you're emotionally attached. But if you're doing it as a flipper, you're not that emotionally attached. You got to look at the bottom line. But here's what I wanted to get to. And you and I have been talking about this for a long time, and I wish people would act on it. Mom and dad helping kids buy the house. If interest rates, and I believe interest rates are going to stay low for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I think we may get a couple of additional rate hikes on the short-term loans and the short-term interest rates. So we'll see credit card interest rates go up, equity line interest rates go up, adjustable mortgages go up, but as far as long-term mortgage rates that are fixed for at least 7 years, 15 years, 20 years, and 30 years, I think we're going to see those rates staying in this particular range.
GDP grew at 1.2% in the first quarter. 1.2%. You ain't raising interest rates too awful fast with 1.2%. That is dismal growth.
Well, and the target growth is at 2%.
Right.
And that was their key to begin raising rates, but because there was so much pressure for them to do it, even though we didn't quite hit that goal, I think that's one of the reasons why we've seen those increases.
So interest rates stay low. You've got supply and demand on your side if you're a buyer, because even though you're going to pay more, you're going to pay more with much, much lower interest rates locked in for 30 years. I'm sure you heard me talk about that. But you still have this problem with the down payment. So there's a lot of mom and dads out there listening, grandparents and so forth, saying, you know what, I got a little extra cash, whether it's in my retirement account or I can do a reverse mortgage. We've talked about so many ways to help the kids get a place. What do you say about that? A loan, can you do that still? Can you help the kids out?
Yes. Now, as far as the loan package is concerned, we can certainly get a gift from mom and dad or a blood relative, not a loan.
A gift.
A gift.
Okay, I'm cool with that.
If you decide to have some kind of arrangement with mom, dad, uncle, aunt, after you're done, that's your arrangement. But as far as the loan is concerned, how we need to prep the documentation, we need to show it as a gift.
What about putting them on title? I don't particularly like that, but let's say mom and dad are really concerned that you're never going to pay them back and they want to be on title. Does that hurt or help?
It doesn't hurt. You can certainly put mom and dad on title. If mom and dad are just helping with the down payment, again, they don't have to be on title, they can be. If you need to help the kids by qualifying on the loan with them as a co-signer, we would call a non-occupant co-borrower, then you're both on the loan and you're on title. But just be aware that if you go ahead and you put yourself on title, if you're looking to do some kind of financing in the near future, all the data that we're required to come up with will show that you are now on title on another property, whether the loan's in your name or not. And depending upon the length of time and how long you've owned that home, we may have to count that payment against you as far as you qualifying for another loan, even though you didn't qualify on that loan and you're not making any payments.
But if you've already got your mortgage set and you're not borrowing any more money, you're 60 years old, you're 50 years old, whatever, and you want to help the kid out, but the kid's not quite responsible enough to where you say, you know what, I'm going to give you this money. You give them the money, but you take a piece of the title back. Now, I'm not recommending that because there are some risks, because your kid could have a, drunken stupor or something with his buddy, and somebody falls off the balcony and you get sued, and he gets sued. That's a whole other discussion I don't want to get into. But suffice to say that if in fact you want to help your kids, there are ways to do that. And why would you want to wait? The kid's paying a couple of grand a month rent for some dumpy apartment somewhere. Why not help them get into a house?
And we've talked about this. What a great way to be able to give them a portion of what we would call maybe their inheritance while you're still alive, to look at the joy on their face, to look at them being able to move up into the world owning a home, to potentially give them an opportunity to own a home and start a family in a home.
You missed one important one.
And which is?
Get them to H out of your house.
If they're living in your house or living in your basement, that makes it even better.
Steve Aledort, our loan financial planner. Folks, you want to do this kind of planning. It's generational. It's important because a lot of people are getting priced out of the market right now, with these prices going up at, in some cities, 15, 20% last year. 20%. If you'd have bought the house, you got a big smile on your face. But if you waited, you're going, geez, I was waiting for prices to come down. Well, it didn't happen. And that rarely happens. It's happened twice that I can recall, to any large extent, since the early 1990s. So anyway, I did want to get to, because we're running a little bit short here, on some of these acronyms. This whole thing of APR. Can you explain what the APR is and how the heck that works?
I'll do the best I can, because an APR is what we're required to provide on any written documentation or any kind of advertising, an interest rate and an APR. And to me, and I've been doing this for 25 years, the APR is either the most misleading number and or a number that you really can't quite understand to do any kind of comparison. So the best way I've learned how to explain it is that you get a specific interest rate, let's say at 4%, but then you receive the disclosures that show your APR at 4.32. The APR is a combination of the amount that you're borrowing, the loan amount, the interest rate that you're making the payments on, plus the loan cost incurred in order to get that interest rate, mixed all together over a 30-year period of time if you're doing a 30-year amortized loan. But the bottom line is most people never keep their mortgage for 30 years. So the best way to calculate what makes the most sense on an interest rate is not APR. It's what rates are available, whether it's 0 points, pay points, or the lender pays some points for you. How much you're paying in interest on that interest rate, what are the loan costs, and what's your return on your money or your payback. So if you're doing a purchase, you can compare the difference in interest rates, what you're paying in interest on the lower rate, maybe with more in fees, and what your return on your money is. On a refi, what you're paying right now in interest, what you're paying on the new loan, what does it cost you, divide that together, and you get a return on your money.
Steve Aledort, can you stick around for another couple minutes?
Sure.
All right. We're going to finish up on the other side of the break. We'll get to your emails as well, RayLucia.com. He's the Loan Financial Planner. Go to loanfinancialplanner.com from a man, Steve. We'll be right back.